She perceived and understood how the Lord in the beginning created heaven and earth, and how far and in what way it was void, and how the darkness was over the face of the abyss, how the Spirit of the Lord hovered over the waters, and how, at the divine command, light was made, and what was its nature, how, after the darkness was divided, it was called night, and the light day, and how thus the first day was made. She knew the size of the earth, its longitude, latitude, and depth, its caverns, hell, limbo, and purgatory with their inhabitants, the countries, climes, the meridians and divisions of the world, and all its inhabitants and occupants. With the same clearness, she knew the inferior orbs in the empyrean heaven, how the angels were made on the first day. She was informed of their nature, conditions, diversity, hierarchies, offices, grades, and virtues. The rebellion of the bad angels was revealed to her, their fall, and the occasion and the cause of that fall, though the Lord always concealed from her that which concerned herself. She understood the punishment and the effects of sin in the demons, beholding them as they are in themselves. And at the conclusion of the first day, the Lord showed to her how she too was formed of this lowly earthly material, and endowed with the same nature as all those who return to the dust. He did not, however, say that she would again return to it. Yet he gave her such a profound knowledge of the earthly existence that the great queen humiliated herself to the abyss of nothingness. Being without fault, she debased herself more than all the children of Adam, with all their miseries. This whole vision and all its effects, the Most High arranged in such a way as to open up in the heart of Mary the deep trenches that were required for the foundations of the edifice which he wished to erect in her, namely, so high a one that it would reach up to the substantial and hypostatic union of the human and divine nature. And as the dignity of Mother of God was without limits, and to a certain extent infinite, it was becoming that she should be grounded in a proportionate humility, such as would be without limits, though still within the bounds of reason itself. Attaining the summit of virtue, this blessed one among women humiliated herself to such an extent that the most holy Trinity was, as it were, fully paid and satisfied, and, according to our mode of understanding, constrained to raise her to the highest position and dignity possible among creatures, and nearest to the divinity itself. In this highest benevolence, His Majesty spoke and said to her, "My spouse and dove, great is my desire of redeeming men from sin, and my immense kindness is, as it were, strained in waiting for the time in which I shall descend in order to repair the world. Ask me continually during these days, and with great affection, for the fulfillment of this desire. Prostrate in my royal presence, let not thy petitions and clamors cease, asking me that the only begotten of the Father descend in reality to unite himself with the human nature." Whereupon the heavenly princess responded and said, "Lord and God eternal, whose is all the power and wisdom, whose wish none can resist, who shall hinder thy omnipotence? Who shall detain the impetuous current of thy divinity, so that thy pleasure in conferring this benefit upon the whole human race remain unfulfilled? If perhaps, O my beloved, I am a hindrance to such an immeasurable benefit, let me perish before I impede thy pleasure. This blessing cannot depend upon the merits of any creature. Therefore, my Lord and Master, do not wait, as we might later on merit it so much the less. The sins of men increase, and the offenses against thee are multiplied. How shall we merit the very blessing of which we become daily more unworthy? In thee thyself, my Lord, exists the last cause and motive of our salvation. Thy infinite bounty, thy numberless mercies incite thee. The groans of thy prophets and of the fathers of thy people solicit thee. The saints sigh after thee. The sinners look for thee, and all of them together call out to thee. And if I, insignificant wormlet, on account of my ingratitude, am not unworthy of thy merciful condescension, I venture to beseech thee from the bottom of my heart to speed thy coming and to hasten thy redemption for thy greater glory. When the Princess of Heaven had finished this prayer, she returned to her ordinary and more natural state. But, anxious to fulfill the mandate of the Lord, she continued during that whole day her petitions for the incarnation of the Word, and with the deepest humility she repeated the exercises of prostrating herself to the ground and praying in the form of a cross. For the Holy Ghost, who governed her, had taught her this posture, by which she so highly pleased the most blessed Trinity. God saw in the body of the future Mother of the Word, as it were, the crucified person of Christ, and therefore he received this morning sacrifice of the most pure Virgin as an advance offering of that of his most holy Son.